Hey everyone, Alyssa Lebrack, nutritionist and gut expert here. I wanted to switch things up this week, and I've been seeing a lot of our community reaching out, even asking questions amongst each other, trying to figure out how to fix their gut, but most importantly, what's actually causing their symptoms. And I've seen one really common theme popping up, and that is that most people are getting caught in symptom management versus actually getting to the root cause of why their symptoms are going on and fixing that so that they aren't stuck managing their symptoms the rest of their life. And I get it, because when I was struggling with my gut issues, long before I became a registered holistic nutritionist with a functional approach, I too found myself spending so much of my spare time Googling, trying to figure out what to do, what to try, what supplements, what foods, all the things. And I have just come to learn, both personally and as a practitioner, after working with over 1,000 clients inside our Love and Trust Your Guts program, that Google is more than happy to continue to keep you in symptom management. And very, very rarely do you land on really solid information that is going to get you out of that symptom management, which is why I'm so freaking passionate about helping you guys get out of that pickle that I got myself caught in, and I'm seeing many of you guys are caught in. So anyways, this week I was like, do you know what, we're gonna switch it up, and I decided to jump into our free Facebook group, the Love Your Guts IBS support group, and I asked you guys yesterday a really important question. So what I wanted you guys to do was to let me know in the comments a specific symptom that you were struggling with, what you think is causing that symptom, and then I would come on here today, hi, and actually go through those and confirm whether that was in fact a potential root cause, or if it wasn't, then I would actually redirect you and help you figure out what direction you need to be looking in, what potential root causes you need to go and explore. So even if you didn't catch this poll and you weren't able to submit your response in time, don't worry, because the symptoms we're going to be hitting are probably symptoms that you're struggling with too. So we had an overwhelming response, and I'm going to preface this with saying I'm going to get through as many as possible. And also, many of you guys just didn't read the question properly and therefore didn't submit your response properly. So if that was you, I'm going to skip over. Okay, so here's the thing. First one coming up, and this is such a juicy one. Someone responded that they're struggling with Candida overgrowth and they think that leaky gut may be the root cause. And I literally responded right away. I'm like, ooh, this is a great one. I'm really excited to dive in with you. So if you are someone who is struggling with Candida, I want you to drop a comment in, drop a hello, drop a yes, me, whatever it is. Just let me know in the comments if you're struggling with Candida or you suspect you are, because this is going to be for you. So here's the thing. Candida most commonly shows up as that kind of yeasty, white tongue, itchy bikini line, itchy bum, itchy vagina, right? Really like discharge. You get this vaginal discharge. You're kind of smelling a little off there, ladies. But also, Candida can also present as gut issues. It can present as hormonal imbalances. It can present as hair, skin, nail issues, even dandruff. And so, you know, there's a lot of different symptoms that can fall under Candida. And this is a common one that I see people chasing after, following, you know, the the infamous Candida diet, which I don't recommend. Let's dive into this. So the question really is leaky gut the root cause of Candida? And here's the answer. Short answer, no, it's not. But here's why. Okay, guys? So leaky gut, basically, I'm going to explain everything so you guys know where we're at. Leaky gut is when we get these tiny tears in our gut lining. These tiny holes in our gut lining develop. Food particles are able to start leaking through into the blood system. Not good. Not good, okay? Really big underlying contributor to inflammation in the body. Many people have some element or some level of leaky gut going on, but it's not the root cause. Leaky gut is still a symptom of a larger infection or toxin or something that is causing that damage to the gut lining. So what is potential root causes for Candida? Things that you need to be looking for are mold. Candida is what we like to call mold's dirty little cousin, and mold is one of the major stealth infections that we help our clients look for because it will often allow for other infections to set in and they kind of feed off of each other. It can definitely impact cognitive function like brain fog, fatigue, memory issues. It can even lead to contributing to things like anxiety and depression. So mold is a big underlying root cause behind Candida. Not always there, but these are things you need to go look for. Okay, other stealth infections can also play host to Candida. So you need to be looking for other larger stealth infections that are hosting Candida and allowing Candida to thrive. Now I'm going to hit diet here for a second because a lot of people think that Candida just comes from eating too much sugar in the diet. And yes, like eating a ton of sugar definitely matters because it can feed infection inside the gut. But you also have to have other things going on, be it stress or other things that have compromised your microbiome that have allowed other infections to set in for that sugar consumption to really make things go awry. You would have to eat a ton of sugar, like a real excess of overconsumption of sugar for sugar in your diet alone to cause a Candida overgrowth, okay? So it's usually multifactorial. So that's what I want you to go explore. Instead of leaky gut, we have to go look at these underlying other root causes that will also be creating things like leaky gut. Okay, let's keep going here. Next up, someone had mentioned just causing tummy troubles in general. Can't seem to figure out what it is. And so they'd been diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus and they're taking omeprazole, really high doses, and insurance is having none of it. And she said, sometimes I think it's Crohn's. I just don't know anymore. So there's a lot of different things going on here. And she's feeling that Crohn's may be the underlying root cause. So this is a really great thing to explore because often what happens when we go to our doctor, we get a formal diagnosis, right? Like Crohn's, colitis, Barrett's esophagus, maybe you've been told you have gastritis or GERD or whatever other name they've decided to slap on you. But here's the thing, these names, these diagnoses that you're getting, no matter what it is simply a label for the collection of symptoms you are experiencing. That's it. So a lot of people get chasing after this diagnosis. They're like, if my doctor would just tell me what it is, then I'll be able to figure out what to do. Okay, so let's just say it is Crohn's or colitis or IBS or Barrett's esophagus or GERD or gastritis or diverticulitis or whatever, again, label they're throwing on you. Let's just say it is one of those things. Then what? It hasn't given us any direction as to why this is happening in the first place. So why might Crohn's be going on? Why might gastritis? Why might GERD? Why might all of these conditions happening? We have to keep asking why. So in the case of Barrett's esophagus, there are some really specific little pathogens that love to hang out inside the esophagus that can really, really wreak havoc. It can be very, very painful. Some people can even present with acid reflux, but not all the time. They can get what we call silent reflux, where there is acid reflux going on, but they're not feeling the pain from it, and it ends up damaging the esophagus. And with prolonged damage, it develops into Barrett's esophagus. But really, the root causes we need to go explore when we're looking at Barrett's esophagus are hidden pathogens, which are tied to a larger stealth infection. We also need to be looking at your drainage pathways particularly liver function and bile flow. So these are two drainage pathways that often get bogged down and sluggish and can interrupt our enzyme production, which can make our acid levels kind of go wonky. And this is where people, again, can present with that acid reflux or overall just general digestive discomfort, contributing to Barrett's esophagus. And I'll also add here that this also ties in with hiatal hernias for anyone who may be experiencing that. All right, next up, someone had posted in the group, we were talking about ginger, and the symptom was constipation, and they were feeling that ginger may be causing their constipation. And this is a really great one to explore because often what I see people do to try to manage their symptoms is they change their diet. And this makes sense because what happens is when you eat, you bloat, or you eat and you're sprinting to the toilet, or you eat and then you can't poop, or you eat and you get any kind of symptom. And so it definitely feels like there's a correlation between your symptom and the food. But if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you know that food is not the problem, your gut is. Food is not the problem, your gut is. Okay, so if you are struggling with the food, let me just acknowledge, I'm not saying that what you're experiencing isn't happening, it's real. But we have to place the blame where the blame belongs. We have to place the blame where it belongs, which means it's more likely that it's not our body rejecting ginger or garlic or onions or some other food. It's more likely that your body is actually struggling to break down that food. Now, hold your horses, because this is where everyone runs out to the health food store and they start buying random digestive enzymes, and whoa! That doesn't necessarily mean that you need a digestive enzyme. In fact, when we have our clients test, what we've uncovered is that most people actually do have enough digestive enzymes. Their pancreas is producing enough digestive enzymes. It's actually another piece to the puzzle, which is infections. Okay, so some people are struggling to break down foods, and if you do fall under that category, we ask, why is that? And it's usually because there's a larger infection that's suppressing your enzyme production, because those enzymes like stomach acid will kill the infection. And they're like, no. We're not going to let you kill us here. We're living in your gut rent-free. You're feeding us. It's warm. It's cozy. I'm not going to let you kick me out. So they're going to shut down your digestive functions, the ones in particular that work to kill them. Okay? So if you're struggling with constipation, and we're worried about food, or diarrhea and we're worried about food causing it, we got to reverse engineer this and go, it's more likely my stomach struggling to break down that food. Why is it struggling to break down that food? Infections. And I'm going to talk about drainage pathways here as well. So drainage pathways are like the pipeline in your body that we send toxins through to be eliminated. What happens is our toxic bucket becomes full and our pipes become clogged, meaning your body is not able to properly flush out toxins, infections, poop, all the things. And we end up having a really high toxic load, which attracts infections to set in. Okay, so here's the thing about drainage pathways is that when they get clogged up, it doesn't really matter whether you are adding good things or shitty things into your body. Your body's going to be like, nope, I cannot carry anything else. I just gave this analogy to one of my clients yesterday in our client support group, and she was asking why after just 4 weeks in the program, she's feeling so much better when she's been suffering for 5 years. And what we uncovered through her test results is her drainage pathways were so clogged up that just by us going in there and opening up her drainage and allowing her body to be able to flush out all the toxins that have been stuck in her body, now all of a sudden she's pooping better, she's sleeping better, she has energy, she's eating more variety of foods. Okay, so when I gave this analogy to her, if you go to the grocery store and let's say you're walking out and your arms are full, the bags are full, they're overflowing, and someone comes running out and says, oh wait, you forgot something. It doesn't matter if they're trying to shove a box of Kraft Dinner in your bag or a bushel of kale. Your body is going to be like, I cannot, or you are going to be like, I cannot carry anything else. And this is a big reason why when your toxic load is so high, you could eat something like ginger, or again, garlic, onions, broccoli, some sort of meat, or grains like rice or toast or something, and your body is flaring up. So we have to really go back and strip this back for a second. And we have to ask ourselves, does it make sense that our bodies are rejecting whole healthy foods? We're not talking about Big Macs here. I'm talking about whole healthy foods that you guys are cutting out of your diet. Does it make sense that your body is rejecting these foods, the very fuel, the very thing that is designed to keep you alive? Does it make sense that your body would reject that? Not really, right? So what then is creating this constipation? Again, I recognize that you may eat and struggle to poop, or eat and have some other symptom going on. But again, root causes typically go back to infections, which are hindering your body's ability to digest food. And again, also drainage pathways. Another one, really important, stress. Stress. If you are under any amount of stress, whether it's emotional or environmental stress, your body is going to turn off rest and digest and turn on fight or flight, which means every time you go to eat your foods, your body's not actually digesting. It's thinking it's under attack and trying to run away from a bear, the bear, whatever the stressor is. Right? So oftentimes our gut is shut off simply because we're going into a meal stressing about what we can eat and if our body's going to react to it. You're literally shutting off your gut when we do that. So that's another thing to go and explore. Okay. Let me see what else we got here. We have so many that were submitted. Okay, someone said the symptom that they have is gas, and they believe it's caused by stress and maybe even metformin, which they had been taking. Okay, so let's just start with acknowledging that many medications, actually let me start with this. All medications, all prescriptions do come with side effects. Okay, so yes, there can be side effects from medications that you may be taking. And having said that though, what lands us on medication is that there were symptoms happening in the first place. So I would still encourage you to continue looking further beyond potential side effects, because there was clearly some sort of imbalance that led your doctor to put you on medications in the first place, okay? So let's talk about gas in general and whether stress is a potential root cause. So heck yes, stress is one of the potential root causes behind your gas. How does that work? Similar to how I was just explaining before, is that when we're under stress, this sounds the alarm in our body. Now, your body is not able to differentiate what type of stress you're under, what you're stressing about. It just knows that there's a problem and it thinks that it's under attack. And it kind of goes back to our survival days where if a bear were actually chasing us, we would turn off our gut. Your body's going to be like, okay, we don't need to worry about digesting, so we're going to turn off the gut and we're going to send all of the energy to our limbs to run away from that bear. Okay, so that's what happens to your body when we are stressed or feeling anxious about anything. Your body thinks a bear is chasing after you and it shuts down digestion and starts running away in survival mode from the stressor. So what this means is whenever we are trying to eat foods do not get broken down properly. They end up sitting in our gut, rotting and fermenting. And this creates this gas buildup that will make you pass gas. Sometimes, depending if you have other gut issues going on, it can even create this trapped gas sensation. And some people even describe it as like this gurgling and sloshing, and it can be very painful even on that upper left quadrant of your gut. So stress is definitely one of the root causes behind gas that you want to go and explore, but you're also going to want to go and look at infections. Infections like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, can produce gases like methane, hydrogen, and hydrogen sulfide. And these little buggers will literally give off gases that will blow your intestines up like a balloon. And this is really common for those individuals who get that like pregnant bloat. They look like they're 7-8 months pregnant, and it's tending to last all day long, not just after meals. Parasites can also, depending on the parasite, give off gases, especially when we kill them. But certain parasites will actually create this like bubble within their bodies, and when we kill them, again, they release these gases, things like ammonia, and can create a lot of gas in their die-off life. Okay, let's keep moving here. What else do we have? Again, we had a bunch of people just word vomit all of their symptoms, which is not quite what we asked for. So I'm looking for the individuals who posted what their symptom was and what they think is causing it. Okay, here's a good one. Someone's saying they have SIBO, they have H. pylori and bloating, diarrhea with constipations. They got like a whole bag of symptoms. Nausea, fatigue, pain, hot flashes when they eat. Okay, drastic weight loss. And they feel that parasites may be the underlying root cause. All right. Ding, 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 ding. You got this one. This is actually a really great one that you want to be going and looking at. Parasites are a really, really common underlying stealth infection that can contribute to gut issues. We also want to be looking at why parasites may be present. And this is where stress and trauma are also a big underlying root cause behind these issues. Drainage pathways, again, which I touched on earlier, are a huge underlying root cause behind SIBO. And then we also have to talk about toxins, guys. So, parasites, all of these different types of bacteria, pathogens, infections that set in are, while we consider them bad bacteria, are also very protective in nature. When we have a ton of toxins inside our body and it attracts these infections, what they do is they actually eat up these toxins. And again, that kind of protects the body from said toxin. In fact, parasites can house in their bodies higher levels of heavy metals than our bodies can tolerate. And so that is why they can be protective. And so when we're looking at why parasites might be present, we also have to then go and look at all of the toxins that are attracting them in the first place. So I've mentioned heavy metals, but also environmental toxins like glyphosate, which is being sprayed all over our foods. Guys, please stop trying to kill the weeds in your lawn and in your gardens with things like Roundup. This is so toxic. It is absolutely killing your gut. So throw that shit out and find a natural alternative. But this is an example of something that will attract infection inside our body. And also mold or mycotoxins, which come from mold. This is another really common one that will attract things like parasites, typically hang out together because they're best buds, and can be underlying contributing factors to all of the symptoms that we just listed here. Okay, this is a really great one, and I hear very often this next one is painful bloating, and they felt that food intolerances may be the underlying root cause. Let's unpack this. I've talked a bit about this already, but painful bloating can happen for a couple of different reasons. Bloating in general, the big bloat, pregnant bloat as we like to call it, or when you're bloating all day long, doesn't really matter what you eat, what you do. If you don't eat, if you don't drink, you tend to bloat no matter what. There are definitely larger infections going on inside your gut. And for that bloat that's happening kind of just after meals, this is usually an indicator that you have an underactive stomach and are struggling to break down those foods. So there's a lot of different, factors that play into bloating. But the other thing that we have to look at is the pain. And so this is where I'm going to talk about one of the big underlying root causes, and that is constipation. A lot of people are bloating in part because they have so much shit that they need to get rid of, and I mean that literally. We can carry up to 20 pounds of stool in our colon, and you should be eliminating 2 to 3 poops per day, elbow to wrist in quantity in total. And a lot of people are not hitting that quantity every day. And so if you are, eating meal after meal, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, all of those meals add up. And if you are not eliminating those, where does all that shit go? It's getting reabsorbed back into the blood system, but also really bunging up the intestines, and it's going to leave you feeling super full, super bloated, and in a lot of pain. A lot of people will say to me they feel like they can't eat or they don't want to eat because they feel like they have no more room in there. There's nowhere else to put food. I've even had clients share with me that it's impacting their sex life because it's so painful to the touch, but they're also worried about what might happen if there's any sort of pressure applied, if they might have an accident. There's a lot of factors and things that play into this, but also a lot of ways that this can impact your day-to-day life. So food intolerance is not really the root cause because there's usually something else going on that's reacting or creating this reaction around foods, whether it is constipation, drainage pathways being clogged up, infections, which are making it difficult for your body to break down foods, and oh my goodness, stress, trauma, even tension being held within the body. So there's a lot of things like digestive self-massage that you can do to help roll a lot of that out while you're working from the inside out. Okay. Next up, symptoms were gas and constipation, and they felt that IBS was the root cause behind their gas and constipation. Okay, so again, guys, what we're looking for here is what is the root cause, and you guys are giving me your best guess on what may be the root cause. And so in this case, IBS is a label that has come up to, it's been, put together by the medical system to label the group of symptoms that you're experiencing. It's basically a fancy term for, we don't know what to do with you. You've got all these irritable bowel symptoms going on, and we don't know what's causing them. It's not bad enough for it to be a full-blown disease like Crohn's or colitis. There's not really any diverticulitis going on, so you must just have irritable bowels. Go home. That's what the doctor typically says, right? And you get dismissed. IBS is super easy to reverse, guys. Do you want to know why? Because it's just a group of imbalances happening inside your gut. And the problem that gets people off track is they get chasing after the symptoms instead of fixing the damage and deficiencies that are happening. Okay, so in this case, gas and constipation is what's come up. We've talked a lot about what the root causes behind these symptoms are, but infections, time and time again, are the root cause behind IBS. Okay, so, and also, again, stress, trauma, drainage pathways. So you guys are starting to hear some common themes out of me. And I'm gonna wrap this up in just a few minutes here and kind of put this all together so you guys know what you need to be looking for. But please don't settle with a label of IBS. Okay, because IBS, again, is not really telling us what's causing your symptoms or why they're happening in the first place. And I want you guys to approach your symptoms with questions. Even question everything. Question your doctor, for goodness sakes. But ask really good questions, like, why is this happening? Why is there IBS? Why am I being told I have IBS? Okay, well, because I have gas and constipation. Well, why do I have gas and constipation? Well, there's clearly something going on inside our gut here. Typically, there's infections present. Typically, there's toxins present. Typically, there's stress and trauma playing a role. So why are these things happening? Well, we need to go in further and start looking at, what is your lifestyle looking like? Are you eating McDonald's? Unlikely. But are you guys super stressed? Do you hate your work? Are you taking care of everyone else and not taking care of yourself? Are there some like lifestyle boundaries that need to be kind of reined in here? Do you have a tendency to do all the things for all the people, and at the end of the day, you're just completely depleted and have nothing left for yourself? These are things that we want to go unpack and keep asking why until we can't ask it any longer, or until we get to a point where we see an action that we need to take. Okay, because when we stop at, well, I have IBS, it doesn't tell us what action we need to take. So that's what I want you guys to do, is keep asking why until you can't ask it any longer, or until you get to a place where you realize or know or come to figure out what action you need to take is. So guys, it's very simple when we're looking at these symptoms and diseases in general, not just digestive disturbances, right? It doesn't matter what kind of disease or digestive issues we're talking about. There are only a few core root causes that exist. That is stealth infections, okay? Drainage pathways being clogged, and stress and trauma. These are the three things that you need to go in and explore and figure out which ones are flagging for you and in your individual body under these three categories. If we're chasing food, if we're chasing random supplements and you haven't tested to get the data to tell you what of these three things you need to focus on, then you are stuck in symptom management mode. So I hope this has been super helpful. Again, we had so many responses in the group. Maybe we'll do another round of this, but hopefully we've hit enough of the symptoms for you to be able to be like, oh yes, I have that symptom. And we've unpacked enough of what the root causes are that you need to go and explore. Please let me know if you've got any questions, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.